This is a WKYT podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations with Victor and Andrea.
Hello.
Andrea, how you doing today?
I'm good. I'm really good. We just talked to one of my favorite people at this station, and I guess I say that about just about everybody we interview.
No, you don't.
Do
you
I
You make it
not?
pretty clear who you like and don't like.
Yikes.
No, I'm kidding.
I thought I faked it really well, but apparently not. All right. Anyway, we have Miranda Combs on right now. So we're very excited to have her. And she was a little upset with us, and I had no idea. I sit next to her every day, and we asked her yesterday.
Well, there's so many people in the newsroom for us to eventually get to, but a lot of it is just timing. It's just, first off, you and I have to be in the station at the same time, which
Right.
there's not a lot of overlap. And then they have to be in the newsroom. There are people on the weekends we want to talk to we haven't been able to yet.
And
There's
they have to
evening
be
people.
free.
Yeah, that's the other thing. They have to
So
find half
really,
an hour in the day.
we aren't like trying to
We're not
single one out.
excluding
We're like,
people.
who can talk to
Like,
us?
who can we get, please?
That's our criteria.
We've had people
So-
shoot us down.
Oh, many times. Many times. I'm getting really good with rejection.
Okay, well, that's good.
I have, yeah.
Just in life.
Experience.
But Miranda was excited to talk to us, and we were excited to. As you'll hear, Miranda and I started around the same time. She started
I had
about
no idea
2
about
years
that.
before me. I was a photographer, and she was a reporter. Well, at least in Lexington. I guess she started a little bit before that, but yeah. So it was fun.
She's
to
got a
talk
lot
to
of
her.
good stories.
She does.
She's a character.
She is a character, and she's always just happy to talk in the newsroom. And you can sometimes tell whenever you bring her, hey Miranda, somebody came to me with a story idea, and she's like, well,
I'm all set.
Yeah, I'm good, which I can appreciate. All right, everybody, here's our conversation with Miranda Combs. All right, everyone, we are here. Andrea's very excited about this.
I know. So to give you guys a little insight into the newsroom, there's big rows of producers, some rows of reporters, and then there are a few islands out there where the anchors are.
And there's one lone island.
And there's the one lone island that you can actually kind of see it
From everywhere.
behind when we do live shots from the newsroom.
You can see her
You can
ducking
see
her
our
head.
desks, and typically you'll see this person ducking right as
Well,
the...
you don't see her. We're joined by
as she
Miranda
comes
Combs.
up.
Hello.
Yeah. My desk mate. It's just me and her on our island.
I love our island.
I do too.
We can gossip
Oh. And you have
work
the good
a little.
gossip. I have
Yeah.
the investigative reporter to gossip with. I mean, how lucky am I?
I interrupted some Bachelor talk to get
Oh,
this
yeah.
started. Although, to be fair, you all had to wait on me to finish watching the new Avengers trailer, so.
See, to each his own.
Exactly.
No, about that island though, you know how so Andrea's right behind a TV.
Yes, so I don't have to move.
But then I'm kind of like, it looks like my head is like bobbling. And so remember that time my 5-year-old was there and I
Oh,
said,
yes.
stay behind the monitor, because Sam, and then sure enough, as soon as Sam
Of
pops up,
course.
there he goes over to the side.
checking it
Hello. But
You can't tell them not to, because then that's the first
Then
thing
they
wanna
do it for sure.
Storm did the same thing with Jim. When he
Yeah,
was
I
there
remember
the
that.
You were there that
In the
morning,
morning,
too.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
uh-huh.
right. Oh, I love it. All right, so Miranda, you've been at WKYT for a while,
yes.
but you took a
In
break.
breaks, yeah.
Yeah.
one break.
One break.
So I was here from 02 to 09, and then from 13 to now.
Got it.
So
what,
it's like a total of, if you take out the
Math.
4 years, like, I don't know. Do you? You didn't either. You're just staring at me.
Well,
You're
I was like, okay,
"What's not gonna
17
say?"
minus 4, I think
It's
that's
not
like 13.
important.
I'll say 13 years.
Everyone knows you. That's what's important. All right, so what roles have you had?
Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
you've done
okay,
a lot of things.
okay, yeah. Let's see.
What haven't you done? Yeah.
I started on the morning show.
Ta-da.
Oh.
I know. Weekends. Anchored the weekends, and then went to Fox.
You're Marvin's.
And then, I was Marvin's
Co-anchor for a
co-anchor
while.
for like 7 years.
I remember that really
And
well.
that's when I said I've got to quit for a little while. Not
Marvin
because of
ran her
Marvin.
off.
Not because of Marvin. Back in those days, I was also the crime reporter for WKYT. So you know how it is.
That's a lot of work.
Victor knows, like, you walk in the door, they slam something in front of you. Then in those days, you were live constantly. And so you were live at 5:36, and then you turned around and then I anchored, and I just got burned out. But then it turned out I was horrible at PR.
Why is that?
I don't believe it.
Turns out I didn't understand PR.
A lot of people in this business kind of parlay.
They do, and you think it's going to be an easy transition, but marketing is not broadcasting at all. So
I always hear like, oh, that's where the money is, and it's easier, and then
No.
regular hours, and just.
See,
But
here's
that
the
wasn't
thing
your
about our
experience.
job is we're pushed to get things done. We have
Yeah.
no choice, right?
Right.
Well, think if you don't have a deadline.
Oh,
how much are you
yeah.
going to accomplish?
I would get
I'm
nothing
such a
done. I'm the same
procrastinator.
way. That's why you see me editing up until 10 minutes before the show.
Same.
When I did PR, I used to say I used to spend my days in broadcasting trying to beat the clock, and now I just stare at it all day,
Which is worse.
which is much worse.
Or which is better.
So how did you get started in the business? I guess what was your first job?
I went to Florida State, and
Are you from Kentucky?
yes, I was born here. Parents got divorced. Dad stayed here. Mom and I moved to Georgia.
Okay.
Her parents went to Florida State, so that's the reason for that. And then, back in the day, I'm talking about like 2001. You sent
The
out
ancient
you
days.
sent out VHS tapes
Oh
to
my
every
gosh.
like 100 stations. Seriously. And so I got an offer in Joplin, Missouri, and Rapid City, South Dakota. For $15,000.
Yeah, there you go. Good money.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
A $500 signing bonus. I remember if I went to Missouri, so I went there.
What did you do with all that money?
No, it was crazy. But that's one thing I always tell people: if you're going to do this, you need mom and dad's help there for a while. I'm sure you
kinda
guys
do,
you do
yeah.
really for a little bit.
Or live off credit cards that you eventually
And then
pay
you
off.
pay off, yeah.
That's
Live
right,
lean,
yeah.
baby, live
That was-
lean.
That was my plan.
I was there for a hellish, is that the right word?
Sure.
I like
Year
it.
and a half.
Yeah.
It was awful. Oh, I hated it out there. I knew nobody.
Wait, where did you go? Joplin?
Joplin,
Missouri.
Missouri.
Okay.
But before the big tornado they had.
Oh.
So everybody's like, "Oh, you were there in the tornado." I'm like, "No, before."
Yeah, that would have.
It was much calmer then. But yeah, and so then Wayne Martin, I sent something to him about a year and a half in. I said, "Please get me out of here."
Help.
And I'd always wanted to come back here. So I did, and here I am.
And it just,
There you
just
go.
stuck.
Basically.
So you go through all those different things. What brought you back? You mentioned, I know you don't have to get into specifics, but what was your roles in marketing, and then when did you just kind of realize? This is
Well,
not-
I was let go from
Okay.
the marketing job.
Second week in a row, we've talked to somebody who got fired.
Everybody gets fired at some point.
Sometimes you just need a reality check. And on top of that, I was about 7 months pregnant, so it was
my
a little bit
gosh.
hard to find a job right then.
Yeah.
And I really, I had really gotten, and this happens to everybody, burned out on TV. So I really didn't even still at that point think about coming back.
Yeah.
And then Robert, our news director, was nice enough to, or I think I got in contact with him, and he came back and he's like, "I've got a gig where you can spend time with your kids, a little bit more flexible with this investigative reporting. It doesn't mean it's any different. It's just that I can kind of work my interviews and my schedule around doctor's appointments and things like that.
You still got to work the same amount of time, but you get to shift them around. And
But
do
I'm
what
kind
you
of
do.
in charge of my own schedule. So I was like, well, that sounds pretty awesome. And it absolutely has been awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys get time. That's the other thing. It's like you all get time to put together a really good story. I mean,
A
I feel
little
like
bit, yeah. I try, people
That's
call
right. I'm sure there's.
Yeah.
For those of us watching, it's like, oh my gosh, you got 2 days. It's amazing.
2 days,
All
you're
the
like,
time
I got 3 hours.
It was really hard to get that done. I like to call them informative stories most of the time because I try to aim for an actual investigation maybe once a quarter because it's just too
Well,
difficult.
those are hard, yeah.
It's too difficult.
And you still have to turn content. We got to feed the beast, as they say.
Exactly. So no matter what, I've got to turn something. So so we do a lot of one-stop shoots, which hopefully it's something that people didn't know about. That's kind of our goal. And then I work with Bart and Bill on a daily basis, a excellent photographer, and so we're very story based and love to tell a good story. So we have a lot of fun doing it, and again, we have that flexibility that people like Victor, turning day to day to day to day, and you after the morning show, you can't do. You just can't.
No. Now, I think a lot of people would be interested to know, how do you get story ideas? Where do you find these things that, like you said, most people haven't heard about or don't know about?
Okay. Well, usually nowadays they come to me because we've been doing it for so long. So usually that's how they roll in. UK has just about every type of educational or doctor you can imagine. If there's some interesting research going on, they help out during some of the slow times with us. And but usually now, we've gotten so popular in that brand
know
that
you,
people are able to contact us
reaching
and
out
let
to
us
you all
know.
with
So I
issues
really
and stuff.
don't have any trouble finding anything anymore.
And
That's
you have
typically
good contacts from being in the business for
the
so long.
contacts. Yeah, a long time. A lot of them have retired, and
Oh no.
but it still helps.
I think one of the things that impressed me most is that some of the stories you all have done, people have come to you with issues, and then things have actually happened because of them.
Oh, I mean,
you look at the car lot in Nicholasville that, people
Nicholasville has been good to them.
yeah. So we had
My
Auto,
mom
Auto
gave me the
Plaza,
story.
and then your mom, the chicken story.
That's what we call it. We just call it
about
the
the chicken
chicken
story.
story.
If that doesn't win an award this year, I don't know what could.
It already
because
has won, right?
what did it win? No.
Didn't Bart win something for it?
Oh yeah, he did. You're right.
My mom was so excited when she found out the chicken story won.
Oh, I hope that does well throughout the. I mean, it was just so priceless. If you
Wait.
haven't watched it, yeah, I don't know how.
Is that the guy who all the chickens moved in? essentially?
Next
They brought in
door,
all the
he's like everything was great till 2015.
alleged
and then it
chicken
was like
fighters.
right on cue, like the chickens went on, started barking or whatever they do, and I don't know, chicken.
Cock-a-doodle-doodling.
Yeah. I watched that one. I enjoyed
Oh,
that.
it really was like it timed perfectly. It sounds like you had to have added that in, but you didn't.
It's
Yeah.
one of those stories you just feel so bad for that guy.
Oh, I know.
Oh man, he spent his whole money building this like beautiful cabin, and then these chickens moved in, and he alleges they're fighting, but there's no way to prove it. And then Auto Plaza, yeah, every time we drive by that lot, it is just like a pat yourself on the
Gratifying.
back moment. It's like, I mean,
It's still a ghost town.
oh yeah, we just passed it the other day,
Yeah.
and there was absolutely no cars there. So that's pretty cool, and
Yeah, there was an investigation.
that was a
all
whole
those
investigation where last year where Auto Plaza was basically cheating on the title taxes and keeping the title tax money, and so then the state was billing customers for their title tax that they had already paid. So it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but when you add it up, like thousands, I think it was like I don't remember, 1,000 to 2,000 people it had happened to. It was a chunk of change. And so it just ended with the Attorney General actually winning the lawsuit against them. So again, I don't know if that means everyone will get their money back because they're bankrupt.
Yeah.
Right.
But it did make us feel really good to accomplish something. And then the Dr. Heilig one we'd done this year with the orthopedic surgeon that admittedly was doing surgery while under the influence of of illegal substances. I mean, that one still blows me away and aggravates me because he was given his medical license back, and
Right.
it just blows your mind. And
You really care. I know sitting next to you, like I can see how into it you get.
well, it bothers you when you can't help people. For instance, that story, we were at a Clark County basketball game, and this woman had like a cast on her leg, and she was on crutches, and she's like motioned for me to come down to the bottom of the bleachers, and she's like, I was one of his patients.
Oh, wow.
I can't, how do I get my money? How do I get my money back? How do I get my life back? And I was like, I can't, I don't know what else to tell you. I can't, I've done everything I possibly can.
Yeah.
So
And I think the fact that you care so much really shows in your stories because you just recently won an Emmy award.
I know, finally, right? I'm like the worst.
You won
I'm the
ever.
most competitive. Literally, our boss has to work with me on how to have like a happy face when I lose, because I'm a terrible loser.
Aren't we all?
So I finally won one.
Well, I have the pageant thing. I lost a lot. I have
She's
a lot
used
of,
to
you can
saying
smile.
that.
I
I
have
need
a
your
lot of
help.
experience.
I need you to help me, 'cause I'm awful. He's like, because I said I wasn't going to go to the Associated Press Awards this year because I'll just be mad. And he's like, you're going, and we're going to work on your face before you
We're
go.
going to work on your face.
Because
Okay, so that reminds me of two things. So first of all, the first time, I'd seen you on TV before, but I remember the first time I saw you.
I'm so old.
You are not old. But the first time I saw you in person was at the AP Awards a few years ago. I was there with my station in Bowling Green, and I remember you won Best Reporter. And that environment is pretty stoic. But Miranda won, and she was so excited. And it was so refreshing.
I I'm horrible.
You're like, yeah, I got it,
But I
guys.
liked it. Everybody else was just like, oh,
And
thank
you know how our boss isn't much of a hugger. You know, and I like run up to him, like, give him a big old hug, and he's like, "Ugh."
No, but
no,
I loved it. I was like, oh, she's still, like you care, because I knew you'd been doing it, and still
man,
care
we
about
work our
it.
butts off.
I know.
We deserve some pats on the back for doing what we
Sure.
think is a good job, and so many of us don't, because even though we're doing a great job, because we're in such a weird area for awards. Like, we're up against Ohio, Louisville, big markets.
Right. We're the underdogs.
We definitely are. So to put a few away is a good thing.
So how often do you have people just see you out in public and go, hey, I've got a story, and just rattle off that?
I think that happens more in the newsroom.
Oh, I can see that.
Like, photographers, like, you're right in the middle of writing something, and they're like, I got this story idea, and you're like, oh gosh, no, here we go.
Because obviously we welcome story ideas, and that we get some people will send us stuff, and it's
are
great
good.
sometimes, but sometimes people will just send you messages.
And you'll get
I'll get a
caught.
Facebook message from somebody I haven't talked to in years. They're like, hey man, I want to talk to you about something. I'm like, oh no.
Do you know what kills me is I get a lot about custody issues,
Yes.
and
That's
I
tough.
just absolutely refuse
I get
to
those
do
too.
them.
Well, it's just so murky. It's so hard.
There's always two sides of the story. You're never
Not
going
our
to hear
place.
both sides.
Yeah. Yes.
And I had an incident where there was a legitimate reason I did the story. This is way back when I first came back, but there was a legitimate reason for the story. It wasn't just a custody thing. But anyway, it didn't help. It didn't help her get her kids back, and she killed herself.
Oh, gosh.
goodness.
And ever since then, I've been like, not that I caused anything, but I was like, we aren't here to help on that situation. That's too personal.
Yeah.
That is a lot.
That was heavy, wasn't it? Sorry.
It's okay.
All right, we get
It's
heavy
okay.
sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it
Stuff
comes with the
sticks
job.
with you.
But
Yeah.
that's the nature of this job. So
Yeah.
how do you do? Because we've talked about that before. How you kind of have to just leave it at work because you cover so much heavy stuff on any given day.
The Hilux
then-
stuff is the first one that has burned me to the core. I
Yeah.
don't know what to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. I can't usually remember what we did the
And
day
it's also
before.
it sounds, but it's a lot of gallows humor. I mean, people in the news. I've got a friend who's an ER doctor, and we have talked before about how we
have a
joke
very
about
dark sense of
awful things.
humor.
But you have
to.
to because otherwise you carry it with you. And
You
it's
hear
just-
gunshot over the scanner and you get all excited. I mean, it's just part of it,
Yeah, it's like something to cover.
Yeah. Mhm.
And yeah, so it's you either find a way to laugh it off, and then you have your moments where you get sad, but yeah, otherwise you go nuts.
I mean, it's like the chicken guy. That really is horrible for him, but it's funny. It's so
I
funny.
know. You have to find the humor in things sometimes, or it'll drive you crazy. Now, another thing I think that I don't think we've touched on this with anyone else, but I know you and I both get this a lot, probably because we're women, but
Right.
we get a lot of hate.
Oh yeah.
And I remember you saying that was one of the reasons you were
I
so
left.
burnt out.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like it was worse back then. I don't know why, but I always have had big hair. And
Same.
and that's why I fell in love with you immediately, because we both, I mean,
We
Higher the
share
hair, the
hot
closer to
rollers.
God.
yeah. So that's always been an issue. You know what? Yeah, make it things that I want to say to people. I'm going to come sit and stare at you at an hour for work too, and criticize you, because it's
Right.
the same. It's the same thing. Even though I've chosen this field to be seen, it's tough. It hurts.
Oh, it does.
Yeah, you can't just throw it away. But especially, and I'm in this job, I'm more defensive of the stories. Like, I mean, I have had people absolutely, you're there. Not my looks so much as just rip my stories up, kratom.
And
I will never forget the backlash of the
geez.
kratom stories.
Right.
Truckers, I did one. They're a tight bunch. Truckers are.
You don't want to take on the truckers.
They will, defend themselves. I mean, rightfully so, but wow. I mean, when you start saying you're a horrid human being, or how do you sleep at night, and stuff, it's like, well, pretty well, I'm okay. So,
A question I have: how did your boys become such snappy dressers?
Oh my gosh.
Because every time I see them, they look like a little Gap ad. They're just like,
I wanted girls.
that's how it works.
So,
You said this yesterday. You're
Yeah.
like, I always wanted girls, but
but
Little
boys,
boys.
you can, if you dress up a little, and I know your little girl's precious, you dress up a boy in a suit and tie, and they're gonna steal the show.
Oh, it's sharp, yeah, because people are so used to little girls looking cute, like in a dress. And it's like, oh, that's nice.
But that's really why. And people are like, how do you make them dress like that? I'm like, well, as long as they're living under my roof, then I'm gonna put them what I want to put them in.
I buy
now,
their clothes.
granted, they're like 8 and 5, so they don't really have a choice or care. But yeah, I've moved from the bow ties onto the long ties now for them because it's
good.
So cute. But yeah,
I'm not a big
I like
bow
to
tie
jazz
fan
them up.
They
I'm
get
not either
along
anymore.
so well. Like, I would think, you know how a lot of little boys will fight constantly? I've never seen two little boys just love on each other like they do.
They're 3
What is your
years. They're
secret?
exactly 3 years apart. Probably because we're constantly on top. Like
we've got to join together.
Stick together. No, they're pretty. I mean, they fight, but it's just cute stuff. It's so funny at that age. I can't wait till your kids are older, Victor, because your kids older. I'm gonna show them more. But the things they fight about, like Calvin will be like, the older one will be like, your butt stinks, and then and he's not even near him, and the other one will be like, no, it doesn't, and like hit him and like freak out. It's ridiculous, but it's kind of funny. I mean, they've been entertaining to watch.
I'm just glad my wife is in charge of dressing our daughter, because otherwise she would look like a small homeless person.
Well, you posted a picture.
Oh yes, one time I posted a picture of her that I dropped off at daycare, and Andrea goes, "Did you dress her?" I was like,
And you did.
Tell? Yeah, it's like, yes, I dressed her today.
Right.
How did you tell? Like, well,
you could tell.
Our babysitter, bless her heart, she's my aunt too, but she's from Clark County, and so every time I leave her to dress them, I'm like horrified that they've been outside. I mean, it's just like sweatpants and stuff, but I just I won't even do it.
what are people gonna think?
I know. My poor youngest son's a little chubby. I mean, not like chubby,
No.
but just like thick. So they
cute.
have jeans day at school some days, and so he says, I can't wear jeans because I can't sit in the lunchroom seats because he can't bend his legs. He's like, I hate jeans day.
My
He'll start
brother
crying.
had the same issue. Remind me to tell you a story about that later that's not podcast appropriate.
Well, he
but
is
it's a
very
good
tiny.
one.
He's skinny.
My brother is now, but he went through a
The
heavy
chub face, yeah.
Oh,
Didn't
yeah.
we all? I know.
Same. I go in and out of
Still,
them.
me
I was gonna
too.
say, I'm
Riding
still
up and down through
in and
them.
out,
But every
yeah.
year and a half.
Yeah. All right, cool.
It happens.
Well, what all you got going on right now?
Well, Bart, my photographer, is at the tournament,
Yeah.
so that's one of the privileges of his gig, and so I actually spend a lot of time with different photographers right now. So that's a lot of fun. Darnell yesterday, and so I'm just trying to get ahead right now. We have to shoot and have them done a good 2 days before they air, so that our promotions team can put something together.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I'm just trying to get ahead, trying to stay clear of the boss man, you know.
I know that feeling. All right. Well,
Here's a
I'll go.
question. Do you have any memories that stick out? And I think most people enjoy like the funny things that have happened to you. Like, have you ever messed up horribly on air or had something go wrong horribly during a live shot? Anything like that?
Remember when I walked behind you and you started laughing so bad on the morning show?
Yes.
I walked right behind her. But we've all done that. Gosh, there's so many that you
I
can
know.
hardly remember. The biggest moment was obviously when Bart and I got to interview the president last year.
Oh, yeah.
No matter what political side you're on, it's still
People were upset.
an honor.
How dare you interview the president?
I know.
It's like, it's the
Well,
president. Why
it is
not?
a president. Like, okay, but that was like the coolest moment. Probably, I won't speak for him, but definitely of my life. Besides, obviously, my children. I guess that was pretty different in a cool way, but or another kind of cool way. But this was like
and you
the
made
highlight.
it happen. Like,
Well-
no one set that up for you. You did it. Like, you did the work.
To get the interview with
Yeah.
him. Yeah, well, we had done a lot on, we do a lot on the drug epidemic, and so the White House people had picked up on that, and so they asked if we would do that. But it was an honor. It was cool. The coolest part was traveling with the motorcade.
Oh, I bet.
That was almost cooler than actually interviewing him, because, I mean, people were just lined up out on their neighborhood streets just watching, and, like, flags everywhere, and the interstate was shut down, and I'll never forget that. That was absolutely incredible. To be like 4 cars back, and we were in the motorcade.
Yeah.
So we were like 4 back from the president, and just on this bus with all these, it was like one of those black limousine buses things with all these other press corps
press
people.
corps, yeah.
So it
And these
was
are
really cool.
national.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were so quiet. They didn't talk or anything. They just sat there like, oh, God, here we are. Here we are in Kentucky today.
But as much as they're around each other, you think they would build some sort of
Rapport.
Well, I don't know
yeah.
if maybe they switch out, though, because I kept wondering about that. But it was really cool. And then, that shot where the president's always coming off the plane, well, we got to be like right under the wing to get that shot. which is where that's why. Yeah, I mean, it was just surreal. And actually, that morning, I'd literally driven. My mother lives in Atlanta. From Atlanta, had gotten up at like 4 a.m. because we weren't sure what was going to happen that day. They didn't tell us till the last minute. But so I was so tired, and it was just like the biggest day ever. And I was like, oh, God.
Well, I remember, what did he say to you? Because I watched the full, like, unedited version, and you were so cool, calm, and collected. I would have been a mess. Like,
I was
couldn't
before.
have
I
formed
was shaking.
sentences. But didn't he say something to you? It didn't make it on the air, but he like complimented you.
But I think he does that to everyone.
Maybe, but I'd take it.
Because my husband said he saw like an outtake from some other interview, and he just knows how to play, the reporter and stuff. But yeah, he said he'd heard good things about me or whatever. But then John, my husband, said he heard him say the same thing.
Thanks.
I'm like, okay.
Let me have one, okay?
I think they just like prep him during the walk down to you, say like, oh, this is this person or whatever.
Right.
But it was still freaking awesome,
It
obviously.
Is. It is. Mm-hmm. I love it. Anything else you want to talk about? Like, did we not ask you a question?
No, we're good. We're good.
Oh, okay.
We're in the end of we're
She's like,
I just gave him like the stretch
stretch.
sign.
We need to talk more. No, we'll talk as long as we want. We really that's the other thing. We don't really have
this
a set
is
time.
loosey-goosey.
We basically just talk as long as we want, and then
we do very little planning, as you can tell.
So that was the other thing. We hit Miranda up yesterday. She's like, "Oh, now you want to talk to me."
She was secretly upset.
Yeah,
I think
she was
it's
mad at
because
us.
you guys think I'm so old.
Oh my
So at some
gosh.
point you turn around
You
and you
started-
realize you're
you started
old.
like a year ahead of me. 2 years.
How old are you?
I'm 38.
Okay, I'm 40.
Yeah, you started 2 years before me. I started in 2003 as a photographer.
Yeah,
So,
I
yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
I recall. I remember
Little
you
proto
sitting in the
Victor.
back seat as an intern holding another little intern's hand.
What?
Yes.
Oh yes.
Victor.
When I did my internship. Well,
True story.
I never heard this.
my girlfriend at the time and I were both broadcasting majors, and so we both interned at WKYT.
Yeah.
So that was,
Oh
we
my
just did our
God.
internships
They
at
would,
the
they would
same
hold
time.
hands in the back
You
seat.
little brats,
Not-
hold
not-
hands. You couldn't even keep your hands off each other.
It's not
At
always.
work?
I think
It
just
wasn't
that one
like
time.
that. Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah, I just
inappropriate.
think
it
that
was
one
cute.
time.
Yeah.
Miranda saw it. That was it.
I don't remember what it's like to be in love.
Do you remember like when we had internships, like you used it to like make your resume tape. Remember,
Right.
it was serious. Now the interns, they're just like,
You make it.
I'm just gonna sit here and
You do what you want to with it now.
There are a
Yeah.
few
Yeah.
that like really
We'll
try,
get into
but
it.
And you remember them.
No one's
and
gonna
then you'll
make
see them
you.
pop up.
And you
with
know what's
jobs
changed?
because you remember
what's
them.
changed so much with when we came up is the digital side of things. Like now, it's so important that these interns know how to do the web and all this stuff that we're still trying to figure out.
Yeah.
I
back
just figured
then
out
it
how to
would-
post our podcast to SoundCloud
And if interns-
yesterday. So
if
that was-
interns
I had to
don't-
download podcasts this morning on my phone because I didn't even know where that option was.
No, I still need to do a story on that. Robert wants me to do a story to like explain to
You
people how
should,
podcasts
because I
work,
needed it.
Which obviously, if you're listening, you already know. That won't be for you. But
Preaching to the choir.
that's right. But interns, just so you know, if you come here and you don't like go out and like try to make things
Yeah.
happen, you're gonna get stuck
That's it,
writing
yeah,
web
if-
stories because
Web
we'll take
stories.
Or
advantage
if you're out
of
with
it.
someone and afterwards they go, okay, do you want to shoot a stand-up? Don't go, no, I'm good.
Do it.
It's like you're with
Yeah, that's what everyone.
You're
with-
with professionals.
You're with professionals. They're
allegedly.
offering to shoot. Yeah, well, you're with Victor, and they're offering to shoot you a stand-up. Take advantage
Do
of
it.
that.
No, it's
Right.
so
They get
different now.
nervous. I'm like,
yeah,
just do
and
it.
that's the thing. I understand the fear, but I mean that's kind of part of what you got to get over. Because I tell them like you feel ridiculous at first whenever you are
absolutely.
on camera because you're louder than you'd normally be. You're more, the more
Neutered, yeah.
emphasis. Yeah, and so.
I remember. Yeah, it's just so much has changed. I forgot where I was headed with that. But I mean, I would intern no money, right, for every 4 years of college, and then finally found a job in Joplin. Now, if you do good at this station as an intern, there's a good
You
chance
can
you'll
get a
you can get hired here.
I mean, really though.
No,
You can.
yeah,
I mean,
no,
we've
no-
got people, writing web stories who still are actually in school.
Yeah, So it's
Yeah,
a
it's a
it's a
matter of
cool
being-
world. It's just you got to stay on top of it, I guess. And there's something else I was going to say now. I forgot what it was about being a reporter back in the day. How different it was.
Victor's little
digressions.
girlfriend. I'm just glad we got to that.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
if I hadn't said,
The
is there anything
girlfriend.
else we need to talk about? I wouldn't have found out.
That's
that
something else
gem.
Andrea and I both have in common is that we both had engagements that ended. So that was.
That's a thing.
Well,
fair.
you were talking about mine. I can't talk about yours.
I didn't know you guys were engaged.
I don't
just
think we
thought-
were at that point.
It
but I think
wasn't
we
Victor
eventually
and
did,
I.
But it did
we
not.
weren't ever engaged.
Yeah, no. But yes,
We
that
work
was
really well together,
that
considering.
ended. But I mean, I was also a baby at that point.
Yeah, you were a baby.
Little.
And I was a baby and telling you what to do, probably.
Yeah.
Looking awesome.
Well, at that point, the internship program at WKYT, it was essentially go out, watch, and that was it. I mean, they were content to, if you wanted to just sit at the computer and play on the internet for
That's
8
what
hours,
you can do.
could, yeah.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to, go out and learn stuff, it was all basically how much you wanted to do, which I guess is kind of similar now. I mean, really, you have to take a little initiative.
You do.
Well, that's this whole job is taking a chance.
That's
Oh,
true.
that's one thing everybody asks me, are you scared when you go out? And I would say I'm less scared of going after a jerk, like someone that we honestly know. And we usually have researched it a long time.
Yeah.
But everybody, they're like, I mean, these older ladies are always like, I'm so scared for you. And I'm like, number one, I'm with like a 6'4", a huge guy with me shooting the stuff. But also, I mean, those are the type of people that aren't probably going to bother you because they know what they've done wrong.
Yeah.
It's those days that
They're
you do
running
like,
away, not towards you.
it's those days you do the phone-in stories where you're like, let's just go do a story on this garden with the pretty flowers. And then they'll call you and be like, those are my flowers. Take them off the air. It's like that kind of stuff you get in trouble about, right? But then you like go after a surgeon and you're okay. Well, no, that wasn't okay on that one. We got some letters from attorneys, but
But that's the other thing. We also have
attorneys.
our own attorneys who double check stuff. And I mean, that's the
We
other thing.
we do.
A lot of your stories, we have a legal team who double check stuff.
So if it looks like it's going, like we obviously have meetings once a week to just discuss the investigation stories, and if it looks like it's going to be a story that could get muddy, dicey, we send it off to a legal team to look at, and then it's good because you're protected, even if, like in a couple of these cases, even if their attorneys do come after us, ours know about it and they're ready to respond instead of them being caught off guard and things like that. So that's happened quite a few times, but a lot of times it is just like video that somebody was unhappy. It has nothing to do with the actual content.
Story, yeah.
So I'll blame Bart for most of them.
All right, there you go. Bart, all your fault. We got to get Bart on here at some point.
We do.
I know that I want to listen to that one.
Well, Miranda, thank you for
Thanks
taking
for
the time to
having
talk
me
to
finally.
us. Appreciate it.
Yay.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Long overdue.
I kept wanting to have you on, but
Okay.
Andrea kept telling me no.
Okay.
So yeah, blame it all on her. All right. Well, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Any words of wisdom before we go?
Play like a champion.
There you go. Well, Andrea, how do you feel that went?
I think it was really good. We started rambling towards the end, but I did get that gem about you and your little girlfriend.
We're just going to drop that one. Rambling is
If you
kind of
edit
the story.
that out, I'll be very upset with you.
Well, I can't now that you brought it up here.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah. So
My hot roller buddy, me and Miranda.
you and Miranda, yeah.
That's how we bonded.
You all should see Andrea coming through the newsroom with her hot rollers
I
on.
honestly need to be doing it right now because I'm filling in for Barbara.
The
for
higher the
10 o'clock
hair,
news.
the closer to God.
That's right, baby. That's right. Hot rollers, my favorite thing of the week.
Is that really your favorite thing of the week?
And
Do you
my
have anything
life.
else? Oh, yeah, in your life. Your life is your favorite thing of the
Every
week. So last week your favorite thing was Bachelor related, but now that you finally got to finish that episode, does it stick? Was it everything you wanted? Was it?
It was. You know how they make fun of it because they say it's the most dramatic season ever. This one might have been. It's the first time that it made sense. Aw. Don't show me pictures of Vera when I'm trying to have a conversation. I can't focus with that sweet angel face.
Yeah, that's my favorite thing this week is pictures of my daughter.
Aw, you take a lot.
I have
You've
a reason.
become the dad who just constantly shows off pictures.
Oh, anytime somebody's like, well, how's your daughter? I'm like, well, now you have to look at a picture of her. But, so I drop her off in the morning, and so I always take a picture or two to then send to my wife because she's at work because she asked me to. Mm-hmm. So that's all it is. That's the whole reason.
It's cute, though. I think it's really sweet. Because you know how every parent's like, my daughter's the best at everything.
Oh, I'm well aware that most people don't care about my kid nearly as much as I do, and I'm fine with that.
I think that's
Because
how it should be.
I don't care about anybody else's kids either. But
Do you want to tell the story about when she was upset the other night? And apparently you and Mandy like to go in together when she cries.
So, well, she wakes us up around, actually, it was around midnight. We think she was kind of gassy. She'd been gassy all night.
Poor baby.
So we fed her. We got her back down. We gave her some gas drops, some Tylenol, and she eventually slept just fine. So in the morning we go in around 6:30 because if we hear her crying when she starts to get up, she doesn't cry, but she'll just kind of make a noise, let us know that she's awake. We like to go in together because she's cute and she'll just kind of sit up and smile at us. So I open
Yeah,
the
she
door.
gets so excited to see you both.
And the smell hits us, and we both realize, oh, that's why she was crying last night, 'cause she had gas. And by the morning, she did not have gas.
Oh.
She had a diaper that was absolutely full. Her room stunk. Mandy had to turn on the fan.
Oh, wow.
It was bad. And so then, and Mandy has a gag reflex. So
Oh, wow.
Every time she's like,
So that's your job.
it's well, yeah.
You know
usually,
what? If I ever have kids, which I hope I do at some point, I'm going to use that.
Yeah, just make up a gag reflex.
Yeah, I can't.
I have I handle the heaviest part, and then she'll usually do cleanup, and there we go. I'm sure that's what everybody wanted to hear.
I'm so
Hopefully
sorry.
you're not listening
Why
to this
I
during
asked
breakfast.
you to tell that story, I don't know. I don't get easily grossed out, I guess.
Well, we also I don't know, that's the thing. I didn't come as prepared as I normally do, because we were able to just knock this out pretty quickly. So, but next podcast, I'm going to have a game for you.
Okay.
A game that I've come up with.
You've created.
I'm very excited about it. I think mainly it's just the name that I enjoy. The execution may not be as good, but I'm looking forward to that next time. So
Well, I am
you
too
get
now.
excited about that. And so that's my favorite thing is pictures of my daughter. You can check Twitter or Instagram for that. And Andrea, what's your favorite thing this week?
I just told you, hot rollers.
There you go, hot rollers, everybody. I take that back. I will. Surprise, surprise! It's a show on Netflix. My wife and I have been watching The Umbrella Academy.
Is it good?
It's very good.
Yeah. I watched You with
Oh yeah,
Penn,
I was going to say,
Penn Badgley?
you're right in front of me.
Is that his name?
Of course you're watching me.
From
no,
Gossip
you mean the
Girl?
show,
Whoa.
the creepy
A
show.
lot of twists and turns.
Yeah.
It's really good.
All right, I'll keep that in mind.
I binged.
Oh, also, correction from last week. Our first sponsor says WKYT News at 4:30, but it turns out I'm actually on at 4, not 4:30.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was so busy trying to act like I was reading off my phone to make you think I actually had something when I was actually just making it up.
Oh, wow.
That I said 4:30, but no, I'm actually on at 4 o'clock.
Well done.
So if you tuned in at 4:30, you didn't see me.
Funny story about that. Every time I fill in at noon, at the end of the show, we sign off and we're like, our next newscast will be, and I literally froze one time. Because typically Bill takes that over, but for some reason I was talking at the end.
Like it'll be at, when?
I know, but that was my question. I was like, do we start at 4 or 4:30?
Did you say that on air?
No, but I think Bill, came to my rescue.
Nice. Is that like that one
goodness.
time I filled in for Bill, and we got to a basketball player's name, and you just stopped. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Luckily,
Yes.
I knew his name.
Yes.
You pronounced it.
Yes. You saved my life.
Coming through like a champ. Those were in my earliest days of anchoring. Now I would have just let you flounder.
Wait, did we co-anchor?
Yeah. You don't remember it, but
When?
Because you keep saying that. You're like, we need to anchor sometime. And we did it one time.
I don't remember.
I filled in.
Was it good?
I thut it was all right.
Well, clearly it wasn't very
Wasn't-
memorable.
wasn't memorable, yeah.
I thought it was going to be earth-shattering.
No. Well, you're not the first woman to say that to me. All right, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.